Hey there, this is Derek Murphy. I've been making a step-by-step video series about how to launch a best-selling book in 21 days or less. This is number 5, where we're going to talk about algorithms and metadata, which sounds a little bit confusing. I've actually seen a lot of self-publishing companies offer services, even for like $300 or $400, that just do keywords and metadata. So this is a free crash course in all of that stuff. And why it's really important. We're going to talk about keywords and categories and also training Amazon's algorithms to get more visibility for your book. So this is kind of the way that it works. A search engine online like Google, which people refer to as SEO, search engine optimization, just means if people put in a certain search term like best vampire books, some things will show up, whatever Google thinks is the best content. Amazon works pretty similarly. If you if you search on Amazon for best vampire books, they will show you some things, but it's not just about the categories or the keywords that you choose. It's also about the data that Amazon has about all of the books. So they may look at all the data and all the history and see that people who search for vampire books, when they are shown 100 vampire books, they tend to buy these certain products. So for whatever reason, these products are matching the search results and satisfying what readers are actually looking for. So Amazon's pretty smart and they're pretty good at book recommendations. The problem is if you have a new book and you don't have any history or any data, Amazon doesn't really know who to show your book to. So there's a few ways to screw things up really quickly. You could have a big promo deal or a launch. You could tell all of your friends and family about it. What you don't really want to have happen is to get a bunch of random readers who don't buy books in your genre to buy your book, because Amazon won't have any idea who to show your book to. They won't have learned anything useful. You might push your book up to number 1 for a few days, but then it'll disappear. And what we want to do is to train Amazon to keep recommending our book so that it sticks in the top 100 of our categories. So let's talk about categories first. When you launch a book in KDP, you can choose up to 2 categories manually, but you can also recommend up to 8 more. So 10 categories in all. You have to contact Amazon support to list it in the other categories. And then on your Amazon page, it's going to show the 2 categories that you're always ranking best in. So the higher the rank in certain categories, that's what it's going to show on your Amazon page. It won't show all the categories, but there are some tools where you can see all of the categories that your book is listed in. And you want to recommend categories where your book has a chance for ranking. So the way to do that manually is you Google a bunch of keywords, you look at all the books that come up, you choose some books that are similar to yours, and then see what categories they are ranking in. Click on those categories. Look at the rank for number 1 and number 100, because every category on Amazon shows the top 100 books, and you want your book to be in the top 100. So you look at the number 1 book and the number 100 book to see what's the range. How many books would you need to sell a day to get a higher rank than the 100th book and take that spot in the top 100? That's ultimately what we're going for, and it's important for choosing categories. So that's a big whole messy project. There are keyword and category tools that make it easier. I use Publisher Rocket, which is pretty cool, and they just added a new feature to make exploring categories a little bit easier. But you can also do it manually just by looking around on Amazon and seeing what is available where you think your book might be a good fit. When you self-publish on Amazon, you also can put in some keywords. There's I think 8 different slots for you to put in keyword phrases, and traditionally those put you into the right category. So by selecting the right keyword phrase, it would put you into the category, but you can kind of ignore all that because you really just want to request manually to be added to the categories that you want after researching them. The keywords are important, and you should play around with some different ones to see if it helps with visibility. There are 2 places for keywords. On the one hand, when you publish a book on Kindle, you've got those 8 slots that you can fill up with keywords that might help a little bit, but you also want keywords on your front-facing Amazon page. So in your description, in your title or subtitle, in some of the reviews. There are a lot of ways you can do it, but you want your Amazon page to hit those keywords as much as possible while also being super engaging and reader friendly. You want to please the robots and also the readers so that when Amazon recommends your book for certain keywords based on the SEO of your page, readers will actually buy the book because it's what they were really looking for, and that'll help train Amazon with some data so that they keep showing your book. So those are two places to use keywords. There's also one more that's pretty important, which is advertising. So understanding what keywords you can target with Amazon ads, and also which other authors or books you could target on BookBub or Facebook. You could also do this manually. Like I mentioned, you go through all the categories, you look at the top 100, find the books that are similar to your books, and you copy paste their title and book title. With Amazon targeting, which we'll have a whole nother video about later, but just as a quick introduction to keywords, you can have Amazon ads that target like up to 1,000 keywords. So the idea is you target a whole bunch of stuff and see what works. Probably bid low, and then see if any of your keywords are getting visibility, and then see if that visibility is converting into sales at a price that you can afford. And that's important to get long term. But you can also use Amazon ads with like automatic targeting, then you don't need any keywords, or category targeting where you just target the specific category that you hope to rank in the top 100 for. And even though we're going to talk about this in another video, that's also really why keywords matter, because you have to know where your book belongs and what are the competitive titles, what books share your target audience, so that you can target those books and authors or genres, and make sure your books show up. In the beginning, you might have to pay for that traction. You may have to pay for Amazon ads, even if they're not profitable, for a couple weeks, just to give Amazon some data to play with, so that you're targeting, like I'm running some ads now for my series. I'm about to relaunch a couple of my completed series, and they're 300,000 or something in the Amazon store because they're not selling very well. They don't get any visibility. So the way to fix that is to target my categories. I'll target like 3 main categories, and I'll look at the best sellers, the top 20 or 30 maybe, and I'll target all of those authors and book titles. And then when Amazon starts like showing my book to those people, and some of those people start buying my books, Amazon's got some information so that they understand how to position my book, so that when I turn ads off eventually, the books should still kind of stay sticky on the algorithms, and get some visibility, as long as they stay converting. I think one of mine, I did a big launch. I didn't get super high in the store, but it's been like around 10,000 in the store, which means a couple sales a day, I think. There's a way to measure it, unless I've got this wrong. And there's a tool on Kindlepreneur where you can look this up. It always depends on who else is marketing their books and what else is selling right now in those categories. But I think basically 100 sales a day is about 1,000 in the Kindle store, and 10 sales a day is about 10,000. So you want to stay at least in the top 50,000 or so, or else you're really not selling any books or getting any visibility. But if you're in the top even like 30,000, it's possible your books are in the top 100 of a bunch of categories. So at least you stay visible, and then you can keep getting sales as long as the book is converting organically, which means like my vampire fantasy book right now, I did a big promotion. It's around 10,000 right now, but I turned a lot of the ads off. So now the book is, in the top 10 of its categories, but it's always going to be slipping. And every time it gets another sale, it boosts the rank back up a little bit. If things are working, that's just going to keep happening, and it's going to stay in the top 100 of the categories. But more likely, I'm going to have to turn on ads to keep it visible. And then the whole trick is to advertise for less than you're earning. So if I can advertise for $50 a day and earn $70 a day, which is about where I am right now, then that's great. I could, in theory, just keep spending money on advertising and make more money. Spend $500 a day and make $700 a day with like $200 a day, $6,000 a month with advertising. Possible, but it's very difficult actually to break even. A lot of the books that even successful authors that seem like they're doing really well and making lots of money, you don't really see how much money they're spending on the advertising. And generally, all the people that I know are spending at least 50% on advertising, sometimes even more. And that depends on so many things. But it starts from understanding your keywords and your targeting, understanding, what other books are out there that are similar to your book. And you may feel like you wrote something new and surprising that doesn't really fit in any category. But you still have to do the work and the research. It's not possible that there's no other book out there like your book, or at least that there's no other book out there with a similar audience, with other readers who enjoyed other things that might also like your book. Learning what those books are, what those categories and those keywords are, it can take, it's mostly testing. So it can take a day to copy paste a bunch of keywords and try them out with advertising and see what converts. But it might take weeks or months to really fine tune your ads and figure out the best keywords that actually allow you to sell your book. So that's mostly what categories and keywords do. On the one hand, it's organic SEO, where you're using the right keywords and categories to clearly tell readers and robots what your book is about. You don't just want a blurb that talks about your story. You want to very clearly tell people, this is you want to give them all the information to make a purchasing decision. So for example, even if it's like young adult fantasy, I want to know if it's dystopian or if it's epic or it's urban fantasy. I want to know the steam level, if it's like, adult content or if it's clean romance. You want to give readers all of that information, because if they don't have that information, they're not going to buy the book. And you want to convert as many people who are on your page to readers. So you need a really strong story hook that gets their attention. You need a lot of keywords so that you even show up in the search results. And then you need enough reviews, and you need the right cover that communicates the genre really clearly, which we kind of covered in another video. I have tons of resources about cover design. So I made another video recently about Publisher Rocket. There's a couple other keyword research tools that I use. You don't have to buy any keyword research tools, but they do really help you to understand the data and help you to position your book the right way. It's not enough just to finish a book and put it up on Amazon. You have to figure out how to communicate the value of the book in a way that readers who are reading your page want to buy the book. That's a whole big thing. It's not actually that complicated. Marketing doesn't have to be like, being out there promoting yourself all the time on social media. I hate that stuff. Most authors hate that stuff too. But the thing that you really do have to do is figure out, how do you communicate the value of your book in a way that readers want to buy the book, in 10 seconds, in 30 seconds. This is going to be the hook on the top of your Amazon page, your blurb, the reviews, featuring the reviews. Sometimes when you get a bunch of reviews, you can look at the reviews and figure out what do people like about this book or dislike about this book, and your reviews can help you to hone the content of your blurb to focus on the things that actually resonate with people the most. If you don't have any reviews yet, you can look at the top 20 books of your target categories and see how they wrote their blurbs. You never want to copy anybody else at all, but just seeing how they construct their blurbs and the way that they're selling the book, figuring out how to use that language to talk about your own book in a way that appeals to the same set of readers can be really valuable. You can also look at their reviews and see what other people like and dislike about those books, so that you can maybe find selling features or benefits of your own book that you didn't know existed. So just being aware of what the marketplace wants, what readers are saying about other books in your genre, can be really educational in terms of how you talk about your own book. This is a little bit different from like going to a publishing conference and doing the 1 minute spiel. It's a thing that people do like at writing conferences, where they go in front of an agent and they've got a minute to pitch their book. So they really practice their elevator pitch. That's useful, but it's public speaking, it's performance. I'm, as an introvert, much more interested in, I would rather test 10 blurbs and see which one is going to work the best with ad copy or Facebook ads or Amazon ads. Test out those 1 second hooks to see which one appeals to the right readers and gets them to click on a link and then hopefully to buy the book. Anyway, so it's really important, but it's also not as complicated as people make it out to be. It's just understanding, what are people actively looking for? What's the competition look like for those keywords? There are keyword research tools for Google as well. Like, for example, and this is a different thing, I'm changing subjects, but I talk about blogging a lot. One of the advantages of blogging is that not many other authors actually do it. So I've got a lot of stuff on my young adult blog that ranks #1 for a lot of keywords. So like best young adult vampire books or best young adult mermaid books. I was #1. I think I'm down to like number 3 or 4. I'm going to get back to #1 just by updating my content. So that doesn't necessarily translate directly to sales, but it means when people are on Google looking for best vampire books, my articles show up. And actually, like, young adult vampire books is much smaller. So there's only, maybe like 300 or 400 people a month search for young adult best vampire books, but I get all of that traffic, and then I can show them an advertisement for my vampire book series. But vampire books without the young adult part, that gets like 5 or 10,000 search traffic a month. And if I have a better article with better content that ranks a little bit better on Google, I could get all of that traffic and turn that into some book sales or opt-ins if I have an offer specifically for that audience. So it can be really powerful. Even though blogging is trickier to do well, most people just aren't trying to do it at all, which has been, it's allowed me to really get a lot of traffic. I don't blog very much, but I was getting like 50,000 people a month on my blog, which is not a bad, that's free traffic that I'm not paying for. So that's something that I had to build up, but it didn't take that much time to do. And now it's just kind of, every day I get traffic to my site. I'm not doing any active marketing. I like to have that on top of advertising, which is a little bit more direct and a little bit clearer, where you can even, measure exactly how things are working for you. So hope this video is sort of a starting point for keyword research. It does really matter later when we talk about advertising, because you've got to know what keywords or targets you're going to use in your advertising. But right now, just for like publishing the book and making sure that your blurb and your KDP product page is set up with the right categories and keywords, that's an important thing to understand. And there are some tools, like I mentioned, that can make it a lot easier for you to understand what's popular, what's selling, how much competition there is, how much you might have to pay for advertising, lots of different stuff like that. Also, like figuring out the covers that match the other covers in your target genre. That's not keyword specific, but figuring out your titles, for example, titles and subtitles, that can make a difference in your visibility just by changing the subtitle to include a popular keyword. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'll leave a link down to the other videos and my blog post with some of the tools that I use. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.